And now, Florida News Tonight with your hosts, Hugh Dick and Chuck Cuckingham.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Hugh Dick.
And I'm Chuck Cuckingham.
Here are our top stories tonight in Florida.
A wizard was spotted casting spells in downtown Orlando this morning. The man summoned a demonic worm, which devoured him instantly. The worm then buried himself into the sewer system. Police are considering this case closed.
A Miami man was hospitalized earlier this afternoon when an officer mistook his Pop-Tart for a gun. Officer Mike Davis shot the man 13 times in the chest and then finished off the Pop-Tart himself. The officer has received 3-week suspension with pay.
Tampa mayoral candidate Bobby Fillmore speaks out against rival candidate Garland Kamitsky. Bobby was caught saying, "Goo goo gaga." Fillmore still leads the polls with an 86% approval rate.
And after our break, our top story of the evening: are there goblins in your dishwasher? It's more likely than you think.
More at 11. What is it called? My not my comforter, my blanket.
Your cushion.
My cushion. My cushion for the pushing.
You give it all sorts of pushing.
The pushing I never get. I give it, but I never get it.
Sometimes you got to get pushed.
I was pushed. I was pushed a lot in middle school.
Oh yeah, same. Probably not a lot. Maybe like once or twice. I got.
But it's memorable. You remember the pushing.
It was memorable pushes. Not like a lot of the pushes you received during your early childhood at home. Those fall into a whole category of their own, where they're just sort of coming together. You just compartmentalize all of them into a safe space where you don't got to think about them that much.
Right, but when you live with your dad still, and he was the one who was doing the pushing, sometimes it wasn't just pushing; it was more than pushing.
Yeah, it was also some shoving.
Shoving,
an advanced form of pushing that not many people get to achieve unless they've put in a lot of hard years worth of effort and trials and tribulations into the pushing.
A lot of crying, definitely a lot of crying.
A lot of crying, and then eventually from there you evolve onto sobbing.
Oh,
which is
like that. I hit
that.
the bed and I was just there crying.
Yep. Evolves to sobbing. Evolves to wailing. Wailing is the third form.
I like wailing.
Yeah.
You ever been wailing?
Yeah, I like wailing while I wail. I like
whales.
I like getting some wailing done. And the whales think I'm wailing towards them, and they wail towards me, thinking I'm a whale. Little do they know, I'm wailing about their whales. Those dirty whales.
I'm a narwhal. I'm not a nail.
Ooh,
a whale.
Narwhals are no, they're a.
Those are the things with the horns,
yeah.
right?
I mean, they're not whales, but they're in like the same like genus or whatever.
Like sea mammals.
Yeah, porpoise. I'd like the same like Well, yeah, I don't know.
Porpoise.
Because dolphins are related to whales. It's like they're closer to like the sperm whales.
Oh, they like that sperm, all right.
Yeah,
dolphins be humping.
That sweet spermaceti.
Spermaceti.
That's what's called. It's in their big fucking hump. That's what the sperm is. I don't know why they call it sperm, but that's just what it is.
Oh, that's why they're humpback whales?
No, that's why the sperm whales.
Oh, that's why they're sperm whales.
Yeah, the humpback whales.
Ew, so they're that big. Oh.
Yeah, it's like it's like the big like fucking like.
So they just have one big testicle on their head.
Yeah, it's full of just like whatever like fat or whatever it is they use like make oil and for burning lamps and shit, and also like perfume. That's part of ambergris, I think. Or I think ambergris is like a more valuable part within like the fat or the sperm of it or whatever.
Ew.
Yeah, you can do a lot of shit with it. You can cook with it apparently.
How good is it? Should we get some and try it? Let us know.
Well, let us know if we should try whale sperm live on the podcast.
Well, it's like when back in the day when Fear Factor made all those people eat Donkey Kong and they got canceled.
Yeah.
They did it.
It's they signed they signed the waiver.
Yeah, but I mean, can't you can get like fucking like HIV or some shit.
Well,
from
I mean,
that,
I'm sure they made like boiled it or did like some testing process, made sure it was like safe to ingest. I'm sure.
I mean, I hope so, because I know human cum you can ingest because there's a chemical in our stomach that just burns it away.
All right.
Yeah. I learned that. I definitely didn't Google it.
Do you think Joe Rogan actually just came into that jar and just said it was Donkey Kong?
Oh, it's always testosterone.
Yeah, it shrunk his balls, but quadrupled his sperm count. So he just had to find a way to get it out. He's like a cow that had too much milk in his udders. He had to be milked, so they milked him into this jar and just, and while it was happening, he was bucking people with his feet like a donkey, giving them donkey kicks. So maybe they just called it Donkey Kong.
Did you know cows? Sometimes what happens is that they get too much air in their stomach and they inflate.
Oh yeah.
So they got to cut them, get a hole in it, and let the air out.
Yeah.
Which is disgusting.
I've seen it. And they put a thing on and they light on fire, so it just fucking goes in the.
It's all that methane.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. Sucks to the cow.
Well, I mean, it's probably a load off their back, or in this case, a load out their stomach.
It definitely helps. It's probably like similar to surgery. People like a Dr. Pimple Popper, they got like those
Oh, ew, I hate
giant
that
growths
shit.
on them. Yeah, same. It's not great, but it's probably painful, but relaxing in a way because it is removing some of that tension and bloatedness.
Well, it's like the ingrown toenail videos.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten that multiple times. Multiple
Oh.
surgery. I've gotten surgery multiple times. I can't
So
talk.
that's multiple surgeries, kind of technically.
Technically, sure.
Yeah.
I never witnessed the surgery though.
Ooh.
I mean, except for that, but I was awake during it.
Yeah. Oh god.
I hear if you kidnap someone and put them on ketamine, they'll be awake while you operate on them. They
That's
won't
good
feel
to
a
know.
thing, but they'll be awake.
Oh, that's good to know. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a couple of drugs that can do that, but yeah, pretty cool. There's something like that. Similar
Like
to,
what? You know a few?
Well, no, but I've seen something like that in I think it was Silence of the Lambs. I think it was the first one, maybe it was the second one, where Hannibal Lecter, great friend of Donald Trump, by the way, Hannibal Lecter. He gets not Rob Lowe, but
Rob Lowe.
who's that guy that was in Goodfellas and he died recently? He was in Cocaine Bear.
Oh, that
Ray Liotta.
Yes.
It was Ray Liotta, and then Hannibal Lecter. I forget his real life actor's name, but he had like cut his skull open, and the top of his skull was removed, and it was like his brain exposed. He was like talking to the detective, and he was like, "Oh hey, welcome to dinner," and then Hannibal's like, it's Hannibal Buress, not Hannibal Lecter. It's Hannibal Buress who cut into his brain and like fucking. It's great, but he had him on some drug that was similar to that, where he was awake, but it's like loopy, and well, probably because he was getting his brain cut into. But yeah, he was awake and feeling part of it.
God, that's so awful.
Yep.
So awful.
Pretty
I don't
terrible.
understand. I know in some parts of the world they eat brains, but would you ever eat a brain?
I actually think that's not true. That's like portraying like India because of Indiana Jones. Actually, because of what was the second one? It's
In the Crystal Skull?
no, that's the fourth one. It's
Journey to the Center of the Earth?
it's closer. We're getting there. But it was the second one.
Big
where-
Mama's House too?
yeah. Indiana Jones investigates Big Mama's house. Yeah, they go to India and it's like the whole scene where they're eating monkey brains. I think that was like not really true. Or if they do that, it's like probably ceremonial in some sense, or it's in very like small parts of like places that probably can't get always access to other meats that they would rather have. So they gotta do that.
But it's meat. I'd imagine there's some sort of nutritional value to it.
100%. Animals, like wild animals, like wolves and coyotes and shit, they'll go for like livers and hearts and shit that's like that dark red meat with all the proteins and shit in it. So yeah, I'm sure the brain's got tons of weird nutrients and shit that we could probably benefit from eating. But
I wouldn't eat it.
no. I think that's also how you can maybe get diseases from doing that, because I think the body innately knows you're not supposed to be eating human brains. So I think there's like some disease you can get, similar to like mad cow disease or something, where it's just not great.
Yeah, it's called MAD.
Yeah. That sounds that is a disease, right? That sounds familiar.
No, I'm just saying in general. He said mad cow disease. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
called MAD.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're not a cow. Because
Yeah, you just get angry.
Yeah.
I'm so mad.
so mad. I'm so mad.
I'm so mad.
The podcast Harlan Highway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so the intro, it's like the Harlan Highway Show. I listened to the actual song the other day, and I'm gonna shit you not. Every time I listen to the actual song, all I hear is the Harlan Highway. Like I know they're singing the words, but all I hear is Harlan Highway. That's all I know.
That's all you know. That's all you need.
That's all I need.
all
It
you
makes me happy knowing that that's in my brain instead of the actual song. Because who sings that?
Yeah, fuck if I know.
Yeah, I don't fucking know.
I've never even watched the show.
These guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let me dust them off real quick.
Yeah, I've never watched the show. I know Harlan Williams is hilarious, but I don't need more podcasts to add to my constant rotating retinue.
Here's the thing. I used to watch a lot of podcasts, and there's a few podcasts that I do watch regularly still. But even if I do watch podcasts nowadays, I don't watch all of it, and then I just keep going. I'm like, I don't have time to listen to all this shit. I could put it on double the speed, but then I just don't enjoy it. I like to enjoy things.
Yeah, I do that sometimes too. If I'll listen most of the way through it, or even halfway, or just a little bit, I'll gauge whether I want to go back and finish it, or if I don't give a fuck about what they're talking about.
Right. Yeah. You also have to be engaged into it.
Yeah,
to like it.
Even if I was engaged while listening to it, if I go back, I'm just not feeling it. I'll just say, yeah, I'll take the loss on whatever they were mentioning here. Potential comedic moments in furtherance of other things, newer things, possibly better things.
Better things. Like what's better, Nick? What's better to you? A chocolate fudge sundae or $1,000, but it's Canadian money?
probably the Canadian money because, as shitty as that would be, I wouldn't be able to spend it. But I could get it converted to American money at a shittier conversion rate. That 1,000 Canadian dollars would probably turn into like
Maybe 800 something bucks.
maybe like 890, something like that. So close to 900 American dollars. But I could also keep some of it to smell because Canadian money's got that nice scent to it. I think it smells like maple. And
Yeah,
some of
well,
it-
it's all the syrup they eat.
yeah, it's in their money, it's in their economy, it's in their literal lifeblood.
Think about it. Money is made from paper, and paper comes from trees. And what do they grow in Canada? Maple trees, so it smells like maple syrup.
Exactly,
But
they're making maple money.
yeah, even the regular printer paper, that probably smells like maple syrup. They're writing on maple leaves for all we know. That's
They-
how they send their messages to the government.
They could be giant maple leaves.
Giant maple leaves. They tie it on a bird and they still fly in the wind.
You're just a regular society. Everything is normal except the paper they use is maple leaves.
It's maple leaves.
What a time! What a society to be in.
I mean, hey, if work got done, I don't see what the problem is.
Canada's quite an amazing place.
They got free health care.
Yeah, they got pig farms where guys murder hookers for going on 4 years.
What?
Yeah.
Is this a recent thing?
No, this is like 1990. This is like 98 to 2002.
They're just murdering hookers in a pig farm?
This is
Oh, because they feed it to the pigs, huh?
Not even.
Oh.
Well, he might have, but I've been on a documentary binge these past couple days. Now I'll get to some of them, but one of them I watched. One of the middle ones. There's one that's hilarious and one that's very sad, and two that are also very sad, but
But still hilarious.
but a little bit. But also they just didn't provoke that much, just further into the spectrum of emotions. One of those middle ones was called The Pig Farm. About it was like the Pickerton Farm or whatever in Canada. It was this guy Willie, and
It's always Willie.
it's always fucking Willie. And from 1998 or maybe even soon earlier to like 2002, he was responsible for like a lot of kidnappings and murders of women that happened in Vancouver, Canada.
Wow.
And, yeah, it was like during like one like year there was like 7 disappeared women, and some of the detectives and like cops at the time were starting to think like, maybe they didn't know he was a serial killer yet because he was mostly killing like hookers and drug addicts because they would just come to his farm. He had like this big trailer, and he would just make friends with them. They'd come and stay around. They'd just hang around. He'd give them like odd jobs here and there to like help fund their like drug addiction.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's easier to kill hookers and other people like that because, one, their families probably haven't talked to them in years and they don't talk to their families. So they're more
Exactly.
isolated
and
alone.
And who's going to report them missing? Really?
no one. Well, because
Exactly.
nobody loves them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So detectives started doing like statistical analysis. Like, okay, since 1980 or whatever, since 1980 to 95, I think that's what it was. 95 is when the killing started. They're like, okay, how many missing women reports are there a year? And the detective was like, every year there's 0, 1, or 2, and in this year we had 7. So it's like obviously there's
something wrong
that's
here.
indicative of something going on. It was since it was happening at this guy's farm. He had his pig farm. Obviously, he had this like butchery shop where that's where obviously he was murdering these women. And yeah, he would just get hookers, bring them around, probably maybe fuck them a little and kill them. And then some people did see it, like
Him fucking?
yeah. No, but there was one girl who she was of course a drug addict. A lot of them were like recovering too. They would get out of rehab and they'd have like no really place to go, and they knew people who like knew Willie and they knew of this place. They went there, and of course they never got back on drugs. Everyone, that's what they were doing there. Then this one girl, she had like Willie asked her like go get a hooker with her, and they came back, and the hooker's like, oh, there's other girl, she's fine. So whatever, they go their ways, and then the other girls come like, oh, what's going on? She sees they're not in the room, but she sees the lights on the pig butchery. So she goes out there and she sees the girl hanging on a hook, like her dead fucking body, like eviscerated with like the fat and organs dripping out of it. And then Willie like he grabs her, he's like, if you tell fucking anyone, I'll fucking kill you. And she was like, I won't tell anyone, I just need money for drugs. So there was a few instances like that where it's like people were just dependent on doing drugs. They didn't want to lose like this safe place and this source of like meager money. Because he would also hire. It was one chick he hired. She was like a secretary basically. She was like answer phones and like do whatever. And he was giving her like $100 a day or something. She was like, oh well, that was fucking. I was smoking $20 worth of rock a day. Well, now I'm smoking $100 worth of rock a day. So she was was
just hucking that rock.
Yep. And then one guy, he was hanging out at Willie's house. He was like, hey, do you want to go get a hooker? The guy was like, no, I'm not into that. And Willie might have been drunk or something. Because then he started going on badgering him. He was like, no, I don't want to do that. And Willie was like, all right, well, you don't want to do with hookers? And he mimed like getting one and like putting handcuffs on her and like strangling her. And he was like, and then I gun him. He's like, that's what I do to hookers. And then next
he just acted it out in front of him?
Yeah.
That's
because Willie was also, he grew up on the farm. He went to school 2 days a week and worked 5 days a week on this family farm. So he probably didn't get the best education. He was really sheltered. So,
Yeah, so of course he's a freak.
Yeah. So the few days after that, this guy who was his friend, he was just hanging out. And then there's this boyfriend of this girl who's hanging out. She's like, "Oh, let me come talk to you for a bit over here." And then they just like kind of beat him a little bit, and like they're like, "You stole shit from Willie," kind of making it, they're saying he stole shit, but that's because Willie probably told them he stole something, so they could beat him up as a subtle way of being like, if you fucking say anything,
that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah. So then he was like, this guy was also a heroin addict. He would recovered though, so he was fine. He was like, I don't want to get involved, so he fucked off. He just didn't report anything.
Well, I mean, because most of the time when people get raped or like have some sort of assault to them, they never report it.
Well, these guys were murdered too.
They were murdered.
Yeah, just murdered. Every single one murdered. There was one, the first one, a woman who I think was like one of his first victims, but she escaped. Or they called her Stitch, and which was honestly one of the best names for a prostitute. If you go by Stitch, you've been through some shit. If you're a hooker named Stitch.
What's her pimp's name? Handcuff?
Probably.
Probably.
But Willie brought her to the farm, and then he was gonna like
show her Willie.
Yeah, he was gonna like handcuff her some shit, and she saw that. Like he got one handcuff around her, and then he had a knife, and then they were like scuffling, and then she got stabbed a few times, and she like stabbed him, and she escaped actually, and like got out, and then like she found like a car, and like she stopped the people, and then it was like a man and a woman, and they were like, "What the fuck?" But then the woman said she saw that the girl, she had a handcuff on her hand. She was holding the knife too, and she was like all bloody holding the knife. But since she saw the handcuff like around her, she was like, "Something's not right here." This psycho, I mean, that could be like a psycho, like real good play. Like, oh, I was a victim, stab. But
and then they kill them. But
but her womanly instinct kicked in. Like, nah, this chick she's been fucked up. So no,
her ovaries were quivering. Yeah. She's like, I know this lady's in trouble.
And then apparently Willie drove himself to the same hospital, and they found the key in his pocket for her handcuffs at the hospital. Crazy.
Well, I mean, yes. It's in my mind. Why would you go to the same hospital? One,
well, it was in Vancouver. It was like small,
Yeah, so there's nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
Fuck, man, he got stabbed.
Yeah, but just for a while, because of the people like living there and just getting high on drugs and getting that dependency, no one would like say anything. The people who did say things, their credibility wasn't that good because one guy went to like actually spill the beans, but he was high out of his fucking mind.
So they didn't believe him.
Of course, and he was like all over the place apparently. So it's like, well, this is nothing.
This is ramblings of a madman.
And then some other women they brought in that, they were second sources. And then it's like, well, you told him this. And they come in like, nope, I didn't say it. That's a fucking lie. Because one, their dependency on the drugs, whatever. And then also they're scared of, Willie killing them. So they lied to the police. And this one chick didn't even talk to the police just because she didn't like cops. She's one who saw like bloody women's clothing, like IDs in his fucking like trailer. And she told this other guy, hey, someone should call about this because I'm not doing it. And the guy's like, oh, I called. And then they went back to the lady and she didn't say anything because, like I said, she didn't like cops.
She didn't like cops.
Nope. And she said to the interview, she's like, I don't like cops. Don't like talking to cops. You give them an inch, they take a mile. Because she's from Vancouver and it's a Canadian accent. But because she was an eyewitness, if she could have, and the police can't go in unless they can't go off a he said, she said. It has to be an eyewitness account. Like, no, I saw things in there to give them probable cause. So
give probable cause, confessions and whatnot.
And they didn't have that for 4 years. So I think it's like 26 like women he murdered.
Serial killer.
Yep, and they had eyes on him too. He was under surveillance. They pulled him over for something, but then that kind of broke the whole operation because then he figured out they were like following him, and then that made it more difficult. It was a whole fucking thing. Yeah.
Wow. You see, that's why you should always be honest, even if you don't like cops. You always got to tell your story,
especially if it's something like a murder. Like, especially if something like that. Like if you see like bloody women's clothes and shit, like obviously something happened here.
It's a pig farm, maybe that's pig's blood.
Yeah, but then again, drug-addled minds, some of them having dependency on Willie for said drugs,
Yeah, so it doesn't help at that point either, especially because he already established dominance and fear over them. He's like, I'm gonna fucking do that to you.
Yeah. So apparently when the cops came in, they went into the piggery, whatever. They opened the fridge. They found this like woman's her head and feet and hands in a bucket. It's like they didn't find her torso. It's like, so maybe he fed some of that to pigs,
Jesus Christ.
And while he was maintaining a fully functioning running farm, pigs, horses, cattle,
he was just doing the killings.
Yep. So you got to imagine at least some of those pigs ate some of those bodies because, well, he also buried some because they did dig around and find like teeth and bone fragments and shit. But
yeah,
you got to imagine at least some of that was fed to pigs.
Well, I mean,
maybe
you got to cut the costs here and there somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Why buy like
pig feed when you can get people feed?
Yeah, you can get people to feed. You can get some long pig for the pig.
Get some long pig for the pig. Yeah, I'll take what is this part called?
The not shoulder. Your fucking
my forearm. Yeah,
your forearm.
I'll take a forearm, please. I don't know. There's a lot of psychos out there, Nick. It's too many.
Yep, fucked up. And that was one of the middle range documentaries I watched.
Oh Jesus! What's something spicier than that?
All right,
Give it
Caesar,
to me.
Do you want to know the funnier or the sadder?
Let's do the sadder first, and we'll end on a funnier.
All right, the sadder one was called Dear Zachary. All right.
Dear Zachary.
So I'll give you this chronologically because the way it's told in the documentary, it kind of goes back and forth just for the stylistically. But in like the 70s or whatever, this guy, Andrew Bagsby, he was born somewhere on the eastern coast, and he was like a really good guy. He made he was funny. He was friends with a lot of people. Made really good friends that lasted a while. He was just a fun time to be around.
Mm-hmm.
He made like one of his best friends was into film, and they made a bunch like little just like shot on VHS camera films when they were younger, and that's interspliced throughout it. And it starts as a film about him, about Andrew Bagsby and this guy, because he had a fun life, whatever. Growing up, he wanted to be a doctor, so he grew up, became a doctor, whatever, and then he went through life, just normal, happy dude, whatever. Tons of friends all over
Good
the country.
guy.
Dude, great guy all around, great family. And then one day he shows up to a friend's party. He says, "Hey guys, this is my new girlfriend Shirley." And I'm keeping you at this point. Andrew is in med school. He's about like 20. He's about 28 at this time. Shirley is 40.
Okay.
So there's already a little like something going on here. Meanwhile, before this, Andrew had broken up with a longtime girlfriend who was still one of his friends. That hit him hard, probably because it was, a big
commitment,
a big breakup. And he's also in medical school in this, isolated part of like, very like northeastern America. I think around there, it's very cold, so depressing area. And, I guess he just found someone in Shirley to like, some sort of companionship there.
Right.
It's like, all right.
To give him the part that he was missing.
Exactly. And then even some of his friends came up to him and were like, "Hey, Andrew, you can do better than this." And at that time, his mind was like, I really can't. Because he wasn't fat, but he was kind of a chubbier guy,
Yeah,
but,
a little heavy set.
Yeah, just a little heavy set. But, but he was like funny, charming, charismatic. He really could have gotten a beautiful woman 100% guaranteed, but he was just feeling down about himself. And Shirley was there at just the right time.
But was she ugly? Like, what is?
I mean,
she
was 40. She didn't look that bad. She wasn't really wrinkly, but she was 40. She was way older than him.
Yeah,
she was,
that's
a whole different generation, different type of person.
Right.
And so he's in medical school, whatever. They're going along, whatever. And then he gets out of medical school, and then he goes to a just a general practice. And he says his depression's worse there. He's not having a good time with it. And then he moves to like a family practice in this small town in like the East Coast somewhere. And he's like, oh, he loves it. It's great. And he's really coming into himself. He's like, okay, cool. He's getting along here, and he has this idea. He wants to be like the town doctor. That's like the kind of thing he wants to embody, like in Star Trek, the doctor, just like, what I mean, the town doctor,
right.
The one everyone knows.
Yeah,
right?
Lovable guy.
Yeah, he delivers babies.
Helping people.
Yeah, he knows the mother, the father, the son, daughter, because he delivered them. Yeah,
and the Holy Spirit. Yeah.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah, he wants to be a town doctor, and he's on his way to doing that. Everyone loves him. It's a great time. And he's getting along there. Right? He's like, okay, I'm doing happier. And then he starts not liking Shirley, because obviously it's like, well, he starts seeing reality. Okay, this woman's 40. I'm coming into the prime of my life. Do I want a relationship, a life with this, to build a family with this woman? Granted, he's a nice guy, so he can't just be like, we're done. So he's not strings her along, but just deals with it.
Right. Just
for a while.
Right.
Until eventually he tells her, we're not. This isn't doing well, and she's from Canada. She's getting her doctorate in Canada or whatever. So they have a lunch at the airport, which I guess in the 80s was a better affair. It's not like going to the airport now and having lunch there, because that's kind of
Well, I guess that's how you broke up with the girl back then, was at the airport.
Plus, you could just go into the airports in the 80s before 9/11, because it was before 9/11. You could do a lot of shit in the airport before 9/11. So yeah, and then he sends her on a plane back to Canada. He's like, we're breaking up, whatever. And then the next day, guess who shows up at his door?
Shirley.
Yeah, just 16-hour drive back from Canada.
Wow, she drove all the way back.
Yes. And he calls one of his friends, and he's like, I don't know about this, man. If I broke up with someone, put them on a plane 1,300 miles away, and they drove 16 miles to come up on my door, I'd go out the back door and call the police.
Yeah, I mean, and I wouldn't even answer the door. I'd look through the people, be like,
yeah.
Nope, lock in, just,
But Andrew, he's like, I heard her out. She's like, okay, tomorrow we're gonna talk. I'm gonna meet her at I'm gonna leave at 4:30. We're gonna meet her at 6, and they live close by at small town. She's like, okay, I'll be to your house like 7:30, and we'll talk about whatever happened. So then 7:30 comes around, and Andrew's not there, and the guy's like, one thing you should know about Andrew's never late. She's like,
that's the sign right there.
Already something's off. He's like, okay, at 9, he knows something's really not good. So he goes to his house, he's not there, whatever. The next morning, they're all calling him at the hospital, whatever. Someone finds his body in a national park with 5 bullet holes in him. Is a man wearing scrubs. So yeah, this guy Andrew is dead. And then the police come to the hospital. They're like talking to the staff about it. And then this guy's like, well, I know who you should look at. This fucking Shirley. She's in town. Fucking look into her. And then so the police, they like call her and like just not like accusing her, but just to get information, to like suss it out, you know.
Right.
And in the meantime, while they're gathering more information to try to get more of a custody of her.
Right.
During that time, she goes back to Canada.
She drove back?
She flew back or some shit.
She's on the run.
Yep. So now begins the whole process. Oh God. Well,
because
now
it's international.
Now exactly. Now she's back in Canada, and then everyone's grieving. Like his Andrew's a mother and father because he was their only child. They're very prominent in the documentary because it eventually becomes about them. So they're really distraught. And they're like, well, we gotta fucking get this person who killed our son. And everyone else like, yeah, we got to do this. But so then begins the process of, extraditing them from Canada. And then, of course the law takes fucking forever. And then apparently, as they're told later, the law in Canada up there takes even longer. So
more bullshit.
Exactly. So a couple months go along and it's trying to get her out. And then they get a call from Shirley, or someone gets a call. Turns out Shirley's pregnant with Andrew's baby.
Oh, what the fuck?
So now, yeah, because they were in a relationship, So
yeah, so they might have had sex.
Exactly. So now it becomes more about, okay, we don't have to just get her in jail. The grandparents now, okay, we have to get custody of this baby. We got to get away from this fucking murdering psycho lady.
Yeah,
So then begins the whole other deliberation of a custody battle. And
Christ.
it's a whole fucking thing.
But what happens ultimately? What happens?
So it's a big back and forth. The Canadian legal system being shitty, and then a lot of just shitty professional people. Like she's let out on like a $75 bail or something, which she doesn't pay any of. Like her psychiatrist pays $65,000 of, and then the other $10,000 they don't give a fuck about. Yeah, right.
That's a little.
Yeah, this convicted murderer, and then there was even one of the law people, because I don't know what her title was, but she was basically what she said was, because Shirley's attack was specific, she specifically wanted to kill Andrew, and she killed him, she does not represent a danger or a threat to the rest of society at large. Because she killed the one person she wanted to kill. So why would she kill anyone else? That was basically what their statement boiled down to.
Sure, yeah.
But that's kind of also ridiculous and an asinine thought to have.
No, because obviously if she moved on to somebody else, like if she never went to jail, she still has the feeling in her, like if I did it once and if I get into another relationship, some man hurt her or woman, then obviously she go through
she has the capacity to do it
again.
Yeah, but she was put on like, that's $75,000 bill she didn't have to pay any of it. And like not even house arrest. She could walk around and just, you can't leave the city. You got to come in once a week to check in. So it's like, what the fuck, this murderer let free? And then she has a child. And it's like, okay, well now we got to get custody. And it becomes this whole fucking custody battle back and forth. Eventually they get like 1 hour visitation rights to grandparents. And then even when she does eventually get put in jail and sentenced, she like writes to this judge who, you Dr. Shirley, whatever, he's like so taken with her because he's like, you had this baby and you're in prison. He's like so enamored with her for some reason. He tells her basically how to write her way out of prison, like her like appeal. And that of course gets her out, and just the system working terribly in this terrible murderous person's favor. So
that's the law for you.
Yep. So and during that time, the grandparents have the baby. They drive 2 hours every week to go get the baby to visit this mother in this prison. And they're in Canada on, I think, Vancouver Island. So it's snowy as shit in the winter months. They're driving 2 to 3 hours in the shitty months through the snow to let this baby see that its mother who murdered its father.
That's awful.
And it's like these people are so strong, and these grandparents, the lengths they'll go to like give a good life to this child. And then since they split visitation rights, and it turns out this baby, it really likes the grandparents. He really likes them a lot. He gets along with them well, so much so that when the murderous mom eventually gets out, because of course she does, they start visiting and being together like begrudgingly. I'm sure in the back of their minds like, oh, you fucking bitch, but they got to sit there and play in the pool with their grandchild together with her.
Yeah, because legally they have to. Yeah.
Yeah. So during that time they're together, of course, this baby, it's developing more of an attachment to the grandparents, because even this lady, she also has 3 other kids from 2 different husbands.
Oh, so
that she doesn't live with. I know she apparently she said at some point in her life that she feels like kids are like, I don't know if she said waste of time, but she just doesn't want to be burdened with it, So that obviously shows what kind of a parent she is. And
yeah,
how
she don't give a fuck.
Yeah, it's like the grandfather said she goes through the motions of a mother, like, oh, I kissed it, oh, mommy loves you, mom, but there's no feeling behind it. It's like she's saying the words and doing the
just
things.
because she has to.
Exactly.
Not that she wants
It's like
to.
an alien or a robot. It's like, this is what you do. You say, oh, mommy loves you. Oop, go down slide. Yay. But like, yeah. It's like when you're smiling for a picture, like, yeah, it's really shitty. So,
She kills the grandparents.
no. So at one point, the grandpa's like, you know what? We got to get this kid out of here. He was even planning to go kill her himself. He's like, all right, I'm going to wait till my wife is asleep. She's going to take her sleeping pills, wait till she's out. Then I'm going to go. I'm going to drive out. I'm going to kill her. And then we're going to take the baby. And then that way, even if I do get caught, she'll be, you know, the grandmother. She wouldn't have known about it, so she can raise it while I'm in prison. Because fuck this lady.
Because fuck that lady.
Fuck this lady. But she was too quick. She was too psycho. She took the baby, wrapped it around her in a sweater, and jumped into the Atlantic, killing, murder-suicide her and the baby, because the baby loved the grandparents more than her.
Wow, this is... And here I thought it couldn't get any worse. Jesus Christ.
So terrible. So this documentary, it starts out after this guy is murdered, the guy, Andrew, the father, and he had all these friends and shit. And then it came out, oh, this lady's going to have his baby. So the guy, the filmmaker friend, he's like, oh, well, I'm going to go across the country and even to England to get, because his mom was British. So she had family in England. So she had like cousins in England. I'm going to go across the country to get all these people's interviews so they can talk about Andrew. So this kid, when he grows up, he knows how great of a dad he had, like how fantastic, what an amazing person his father was. Even though he's not going to know him, he'll know through these other people's interactions and what they say about him, what kind of a man he was. And they'll be able to see like these videos and like the movies that his friend made of them, and he'll know. And then it goes on and on and on and further. And then the guy's filming it in time with as real shit is happening.
Right.
Yeah. So then, yeah.
So then she jumps into the Atlantic and he finds out, right?
Yeah, and then even earlier in the documentary, he's like, well, how am I going to know when this is over? And then once that happens, he's like, he thought about quitting making it because he's like, well, what's the point now? But then he realized it's the documentary at that point became about the grandparents, because then they went on to get into legislation about making it so convicted murderers can't get out on bail. They just have to go right to trial. Or people who are accused of murder and in sensing they can't be on bail, so they should go right to trial, just so shit like that doesn't happen, right?
So that way another person or family doesn't have to go through what they had
and
to.
like the people, if they have a child, that's they have which is shitty for people who have children in prison or who are criminals, but like
you can't raise a kid in there.
Yeah, exactly. And if depending on the crime you commit, like if you committed a murder, you should restricted access to a child, especially if that child is the child of the husband that you killed, right? That's So it then became like about them, and they went on to like write a book and like try to get shit into legislation in Canada and other places. Yeah, very terrible.
But let's hear the funny one. Let's bring it around. Let's change.
Bring
the
it
mood.
around. 10 funny one.
Let's change the mood. Let's see where it's going.
So Caesar.
Yes, Nick. Hit me with your best shot.
About how much time we got?
Well, it's at 5:45. We got plenty of time.
So,
we got time.
What do you know about the world of competitive tickling?
I thought this day would never come.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a national champion tickler.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I go every 3 weeks a year to Cambodia, and I go on and I take the tournament challenge. I win every single time.
Sponsored by Jane O'Brien.
Sponsored by Jay O'Brien.
Oh yep, and good old tickling Tammy, tickling whatever her name was.
Yeah, Tickly Susie.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
no, I'm not a tickler champion. Obviously, it's just it sounds funny.
So sometime like mid 2000s, this reporter in New Zealand, he interviews like weird people. He interviewed this one person who had like skin modification, like a demon. And and like person who had like the hundreds of like birds as pets. You just like interview like weird and quirky people in New Zealand, right? Fun times, weird, quirky interviews, whatever the fuck. He's scrolling on Facebook one day, just looking for like weird shit, seeing what.
Because that's obviously where you look for is Facebook.
Yeah, that's one of his sources. Maybe like looking to like local, like in New Zealand, like through his town, like looking for a post, whatever that he can go, because it is like weird niche people, So you got to look for like weird places to find it. And he sees a video called "Competitive Tickling," and it's a lot of good-looking men, like athletic, young built men.
Okay.
Like athletes, wrestlers, MMA, bodybuilders, football players, whatever. And there's one strapped down to a table with another straddling on top of him, tickling his armpits. And there's another couple down there tickling his feet. And the guy's he's laughing. He's having a good time. It's high endurance tickling.
High endurance tickling.
Yeah. I think it even said early, even as early as that point, it was for maybe competitive tickling, or it was like, yeah, endurance training for tickling. It was sponsored like a championship. They're all wearing Adidas gear, so it's like, yeah, so this is like going to be
It's an actual.
it's a
Okay.
sport, and this is they're practicing for it. So this guy's like, huh, this is really funny and weird. Let me try to contact these people and see what I can if I can get an interview or see what this is about. He doesn't hear back from him for a bit, and then he gets an email from Jane because this is the company Jane O'Brien. Jane O'Brien Media is where he eventually found it traced back to. So, oh, Jane O'Brien Media. Let's see if I can get an interview with Jane, who I assume is, So he gets an email from Jane.
Okay.
That basically it comes down to saying, being like, I noticed that you're a homosexual. And I don't really feel comfortable engaging with engaging in business or with a homosexual. So thank you, goodbye.
Did you just assume?
No, he's a reporter. He's not well known, but his life is like out there basically. So he's probably like a known, he's like a known gay guy.
Yeah. Okay.
It's probably it's not part of his identity, but that's just like people just
He's just gay.
yeah, he's just gay, and that's just like it's not a secret. People just know. So she found out, and she's like, oh well, no, I don't like you're gay, so I don't really you're gay. I don't want to work with you. He's like, huh,
Wow.
that's strange. And then
Considering she's like runs a tickling competition.
yeah, a very homoerotic tickling competition. Very well built, muscular men grappling, straddling on top of each other, tied down, tickling, laughing, all smiling. That sounds from the outside. If you worked in an office building and you looked over the cubicle and saw your friend watching that video, you would think
That's a little.
that's
gay.
pretty gay.
Yeah, that's pretty gay.
Hey, what are you watching there? It looks pretty gay. Yeah, so very, very interesting for her to have something about him being gay. So I think he drops it for a bit, or maybe tries to contact or something. But he keeps seeing these emails, and they keep getting progressively more and more aggressive.
Oh no!
It's like just until it's straight up calling him slur, calling him the F slur, and saying you're a shitty reporter or whatever. It's bullshit, and just real bad mouthing him. He's like, what the fuck? So I think he's trying to end discourse with him. He makes posts about it too, on Twitter and Facebook, what the fuck is with this tickling shit, right? Or whatever. And then so eventually Jane O'Brien Media contacts him and says, hey, I'm sending 3 people down there for my legal team to fucking kick your ass, basically.
Kick your ass.
So he goes down there with a sign that says, it's like a rainbow color sign. And it says, Jane O'Brien Media Company, welcome. And he waits for them there at the airport for hours.
Just despite that.
Yeah, they show up and 3 guys show up. And the first guy comes up, he's like, "Oh yeah, welcome. Yeah, nice to meet you, or whatever." It's like, "Oh," he's like, "Oh, can I keep this?" Because he made this laminated sign. It's like, "Oh, this is real cool and creative." He wants to actually keep it. It's real. It's genuine. It's not like, "Oh man, look, can I keep this?" No, this first guy. He seems like a nice guy.
Okay.
He keeps it. He's like, "Oh yeah," and the other 2 come up. He's like, "Oh, I'm Kevin. I'm blah blah blah." And it's like, yeah, we were just interesting, whatever. Yeah, just what's going on? Interesting you came to meet us here. And then one of the guys is like, "Are you filming me? I'd prefer not to be filmed." And the other guy, the third guy's, yeah, I wouldn't want to be either. And the New Zealand reporter guy's like, well, with the public space, it's in the law. We can film here. That's legal within the law. And then one of the guys, real bad faith going off. He's like, you know what? If this is how you're going to be doing this, we're not going to have a good time. If you're going to come and ambush us like this, where it's not going to
ambush.
He didn't say ambush then, but then later on he said you attacked us at the airport, and it's like, all right, I came up to you with a fucking sign because you're coming to sue me or something. I didn't attack you. That was kind of But then they're there. They're not saying anything, but they're saying that he should stop what he's doing.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's like, who do you work? Have you ever met Jane? They're like, no, we've never met Jane. But it's like they allude to being some people have so much money, they don't got to play by rules. You don't want to get engaged in this legal battle. So so they're just saying yeah, whoever is behind this company, this shadow person, they have so much money, they will just drown you in legal debt and just through this system, put you through the legal ringer, which people with money can do that. Just get you in lawyers and lawsuits. And that's more money than you're going to get even if you win. They ruin you through the lawsuit process.
Oh, Jesus.
That's what they're insinuating is going to happen. And this guy's like, what the fuck? So they get fuck off back to New York, and then they follow him to New York. And they're like, all right, well, we figured out where this shoot's going to happen. So then they go and they come in. It's like, hey, you guys want to talk about? They see him come in with dudes coming in. They're obviously filming in there, and they're like, we could hear them laughing through the vents in this building. They could hear laughing coming from the building while they were filming the tickling. So they're like, all right, we're going to go up and we're going to see, oh, do you want to say anything? And of course, they get thrown off the property.
Yeah, of course. They get thrown out.
Yeah, and they try to figure out what is this? And so he looks up, is there any other tickling things? So he finds this one guy who makes videos, and he's open to talk about it. Yeah, it's a tickling fetish, whatever. I hire people, it's whatever. I'm open. It's I have a website for it. I make money off it, whatever. It's and he's open about it. So that leads down this other rabbit hole of in the early 90s, early 2000s, late 80s, when internet was still coming around during the AOL days. They would have, even tickling fetish sites in and like message boards you can get to shit. And there was this one lady, it was like Tickling Terry or something. She was like, I want you to, I want no sex. I just want you to send me tickle videos. And she would like send these like young college dudes like $1,000. It's like, here, before they even do anything, just as like a startup, like here, $1,000 to let you know I'm serious. You send me a tickling video, I'll send you
Like $3,000.
I'll send you $1,000. I'll send you a TV. I'll send you an Xbox. I don't give a fuck. Just send me those tickling videos. So just getting these young guys to send these videos. And like, yeah, of course, you're in college or in a fucking dorm. You have like a part-time job or no job. You need money. It's like, I can just lay here and get tickled for like an hour and then make $1,000. Okay. So they do that for a while. And then eventually it's like, okay, well, I made enough money. I don't really want to do this anymore. I'm feeling kind of weird about it. And I don't need, eventually you get all you need. It's like, well,
I don't need it anymore.
Yeah, well, I already have the Xbox, I have the computer, I have,
filled.
yeah, it's like, and I have like $5,000 in the bank. I'm doing all right for school. I don't need it. Well, Terry doesn't like hearing no.
Ooh.
So, hey, all those videos you sent me? Yeah, I have those. What if I sent those to your mom, to your grandma, to your school, to your wrestling coach, to your principal, and tell them all what a weird, sick pervert you are, what a weird gay pervert you are.
Oh boy, that's not good at all.
Yeah,
that's blackmail.
So blackmailing, yes. It's
blackmail.
Like, what was this Terry deal? So eventually, that was also broken down a long time ago. They found out who it was. It was this guy who was like the son of like this banker who like founded this banking corporation. That's where all his money was. It was from family money that he had, like rich old money he was just paying off. And they found him. He went to prison. He went to prison for like identity theft or something, and he served like a few months. Nothing about like the blackmail and having like all these videos of these like men. And like he made websites and posted like all these videos to websites like I'm just using the name Aaron Carter, which is from the Backstreet Boys. It was like AaronCarterTickling.com, because people look themselves up. It's like, oh, I'm gonna look up my friend James like on Google just to see what happens, and then these fucking tickling videos would come up and be like, what the what? And that would it caused a lot of strife in a lot of people's lives. Yeah, a lot of shit with those people. So eventually, this New Zealand guy, he figures this out. He figures out who this person was, where he lives, and eventually he tracks him down. Eventually, gets him on camera. And once he gets him on camera, it stops. He stops getting the threats and shit.
Well, because they caught him.
Yeah, but they didn't catch him. But it's like, okay, well now they've traced it back to me, so I should stop fucking with him now.
Well, yeah, because now they have the evidence, and then it all goes down.
Not even really evidence, but since he's on camera, and the fact that they got to him, and now since he's even associated with it, it's like, okay, well now I have to stop, because if anyone does like any digging at all, it will obviously come up. Like
it'll come back to him.
Exactly. And it's still going on though. Like even it's still happening elsewhere. Like they have like a whole cell of it in like Minnesota and like some real shitty like town that's like one of America's like top 10 like most crime lists, and it's like real northern city, like real snowy and shitty, and it's a real low income, like like poor neighborhood. So of course, if there's like fun young guys in there, there's also like an MMA wrestling scene. And so it's apparently this guy is also trying to get tickling into MMA through like a way, be like, yeah, what if you were in a submission, you can tickle a guy to get out of it? And then all the fighters like, there's no fucking way.
That's a little.
I would, if it's between tapping and tickling a guy to get out of a hold,
I'm tapping the whole time.
Snap my fucking arm. Yeah, if you're in an MMA fight and you tickle a guy to get out of a hold, even if you win, you lose, because everyone's gonna be like, what the fuck was that?
That's just embarrassing.
Yeah, and then there was also a thing earlier when he was still Terry Tickle, he was trying to get it investigated as like a military tactic for like torture, as like tickle, like as like torture for the U.S. military.
No,
it's like what? No, this is just for your fetish, right? And it's still going on across the world, even in like Italy. There's like cells all around the world
just for tickling.
Yeah, and this guy apparently he's making websites for it, and he's making money off it. So of course, it's a cyclical cycle.
But they're never going to catch him. They're never going to book him for anything, for holding all the videos and trying to blackmail people.
Probably not.
Damn.
They also managed to get a call his stepmother, because he's like old, he's like 45, and like his father's like passed, but they somehow got a hold of like his stepmother, and she was like, oh, is he up to it again? Like because she was around during the first like lawsuit, when it's like, because of course during that first lawsuit and arrest, he wasn't arrested for these videos, but of course that probably came out in the inner family, because it's like, why is he getting arrested? Well, he's doing tickling videos stuff, and then of course the inner family knows, and then she was like, yeah, ever since he was a strange kid, he would get picked on, and so it just kind of painted a picture of like this, it's like a sad life, like a sad kid who he was real sheltered. His like birth mother wouldn't let him out, wouldn't let him do sports, wouldn't let him ride a bike. It was a very safe and sheltered life. So maybe that's where somehow psychologically he got that tickling fetish right? And then this access to all this money and like getting bullied, it like all culminated in this like belief where it's like he had this persona too of like the Terry Tickle, this other person. So it wasn't even him. He was acting like a Breaking Bad Heisenberg scenario. Like you're playing this bigger than life character and you have so much power within it. It was like a power trip for him, you know.
It feeded their ego and then made them feel better about themselves.
Exactly. It was a very, very interesting documentary.
Wow. And where was all this on Netflix? Where did you see this?
On like Tubi. A couple of them I saw on Tubi. A couple other places, I don't know. Just like maybe Freevee or some shit. Mostly on Tubi, probably.
Just the free ones.
Yeah. And then I watched some documentary called 77 Minutes, which is about a massacre that happened in McDonald's in San Ysidro in like the 80s.
What? But okay.
Yeah.
At McDonald's?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm loving it.
Yeah. Yeah, they weren't. It's called 77 Minutes because that's how long the shooting went on for.
77 minutes?
77 minutes.
Jesus. An hour and 11 minutes.
An hour and 17 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That'd be 67 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, this is pretty crazy. But that wasn't as good of a documentary because the guy making it, he had kind of he had a little bit of a bias like against the police because fair enough, it took them, so long to like get into the scene, but it was at a time it was like real, like the sun was like going through the tinted windows that were splintered because of bullets with them. They couldn't see inside. He had an Uzi with an extended magazine. He had a shotgun, he had a pistol. They had an accurate count of how many shooters were in there. They didn't know if they would kill one, if there were more in there, if they'd get angry and kill more hostages. But this guy was being like, you went to the wrong McDonald's first. That cost you like a couple minutes. It's like, oh, this other guy, how come your pager wasn't working? And he always had a bias, and which obviously was very shitty because it's you shouldn't have that as a reporter, And also
you got to be open minded.
And also his bias was very easily refuted, I
didn't charge the pager. I didn't.
Or like the statements he made, it's like weren't like that great. It's like, how come your pager? Well, why didn't it go off? It's like, well, it was 1985. Technology was what it is now. Maybe the battery was dead, or I don't know. Who knows? But it was a 1985 pager. It's like some people went off, and then and then it was also like rush hour traffic, like really late.
Oh, so yeah, that took even longer because of the traffic.
And then because it took so long, he was like, well, why didn't the sniper like shoot him? Because he interviewed the sniper who eventually shot the guy, and the sniper said like he had.
Not a clear shot?
No, he had a clear shot before, but it was like legs. And there was also another, the first responding officer, he interviewed him, and he had a line of sight on him, but it was outside a window, and he had a 38 like pistol, and you have to shoot through the window, but he didn't take the shot. He was like, well, what if there's more shooters and they get mad? I killed this guy. What if I shoot the window and it doesn't break through? What if it ricochets? What if what if this is a civilian? What if there's so many like instances like where if he doesn't kill him, And then the interview was kind of like, do you have any guilt about that? And it's like
guilt.
Yeah. And the guy broke it down. He's like, nope, I ran it through my mind he was very like comfortable with that because he probably did for at that time with what very little information he had about the scenario made
the best
choice for him at that time with the information he had. And it's like, you could obviously tell this guy's biased and that just,
Yeah, that kind of makes the documentary a little more shitty, but
yeah. And then he has a point in there. It's like, okay. And it's like at the hour and 15-minute mark, he's like, at this point, you've been watching the documentary. At this point, this is how long the shooting went on for. It's supposed to be like, wow, that whole time I've been sitting here. And it's supposed to further the point of like, why didn't the police do anything? It's like, well, also the way the McDonald's was situated, there was like windows facing out. There was no like cover. So they would try to approach, but he had a fucking Uzi and he would like shoot out at them. And there was no cover nowhere for them to hide or anything. So it was just a shit show top to bottom. And I said there was like 50 people in that McDonald's when he went in.
Oh,
so there's already tons of, so
that's not safe at all.
Shit show all around.
Jeez, the lengths that people will go to just to prove a point, or
I think in the end, it was just because he was racist. They said like, yeah, it was like a guy who like, yeah, he didn't like Mexicans, he didn't like immigrants. The shooter's wife called and he was like, yeah, he didn't.
So he went to McDonald's. That's where he thought.
Well, because before that, apparently he went to a couple cities over to like pay a parking ticket or whatever, like to dispute it, and he got it disputed. Then his family went to McDonald's over like a different McDonald's, and maybe there is where he saw like because it was in like Southern California, and apparently he lived in Tijuana for a while, and he like lost a job there or something. So maybe he had like an inherent bias against Mexican people or something. And then no, if you're in a Southern California city, and especially on San Ysidro, that's literally the border town on Tijuana, you're gonna see a lot of Mexicans around,
Right, that's reasonable.
And in McDonald's at like rush hour in like the 80s when like McDonald's had like a higher standard and it was probably a bit better in the 80s, you're probably gonna see quite a few Mexicans in there. And at that one he was at, he was like, saw it. And then afterwards he went to the zoo with his family, like a spur of the moment trip. And apparently during that little zoo visit, he told his wife, he's like, society had their chance. Or he said something along those lines, and his wife was like, "I thought it was just something weird that he said because he would just say, I guess, weird things because he was already a weird type of
He was
mind."
already, his psyche was already
So it's
off.
late in the day. They get home. His wife's like, "All right, I'm gonna lay down." He's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go hunting people." And then I guess he goes to McDonald's and then starts that thing. And it's probably again just because he was a shitty racist,
Jesus
at least in
Christ.
part.
Well, yeah, that's do partial with it at
Oh,
least,
yeah.
but man, that's it's like when I was told you I watch Criminal Minds and I watch the stories that they would go over and stuff. I'm like, this is just part of it. It is sometimes funny, yes, but for the most part, most of this stuff just makes you feel uncomfortable and just remorse for whoever had to suffer through what they had to go through.
Yeah, but it's also the macabre nature. That's what makes it interesting. Is that it's so
Yeah.
terrible. That's why you want to
It's
listen
informative.
and hear about it.
Yeah.
Yes, also very important. Like learning about history as unavoided. It is important. These people whose lives are taken, they be remembered. But it's not like it's not going to come up on a test.
No,
But it's interesting.
It could, though.
Interesting. It could.
right here.
Oh no! Yeah.
Let's want to do a Mad Lib?
Yeah.
Do a Mad Lib.
No, we're good. I think we're getting.
You wanna? No, we could. Yeah, you're right. What time?
What's
Yeah,
time?
it's like 6:03.
Oh yeah, I gotta get you time to get to your work.
Yeah, I got to go to work today. That's why I'm not wearing a hat.
Oh yeah.
I'm free balling it today.
Yeah, and I'm not wearing a hat because I got my nice fresh fade cut. It could have been a little longer on the sides, but
It's good.
these barbers
it
cut
suits
it.
you
These
well.
barbers cut it how they like it. I would like a little bit more on the sides, but next time I know. Because I always say a little bit more on top, but I guess I got to say a little more on the sides.
A little more on the sides.
Yeah. Music recommendations, though.
Music recommendations. Let's do it. Let's
cut
end
through
on,
all, let's
let's
cut through all
end
the
on a happy
sadness
note.
with a happy note.
You know what? Yeah, let's do. I'll do some happy music. And listen to Jake Johnson. Let's do Sittin', Waitin', Wishin'.
Oh.
You know that song?
No.
It's on the same album where Banana Pancakes is
Yeah,
on.
I think you've recommended the song before.
Have I? No.
You said that exact same thing.
No, I've done Banana Pancakes.
And you've done another one. You said it was the same album as Banana Pancakes.
Yeah, Better Together. That's also on that album.
Maybe that's.
I've
one you
referenced that
recommended.
album a lot because one, it's a good album.
Yeah,
Two,
it's got-
there's a lot of fantastic songs on there,
including Banana Pancakes.
including Banana Pancakes. It's happy music. It's Jake Johnson. He's just doing him.
Yeah.
Him and a beautiful man on the guitar.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna recommend "Happy" by Pharrell
Oh,
because
Pharrell.
no one's happier than Pharrell, especially when he's wearing that weird hat and he's
He lays in bed at night and he looks at his bank account.
yeah, and then he looks in the mirror that he's got nailed to his bed so he can see himself prostrating himself, inflating himself, and be like, yeah, that's me. I'm happy, and then he claps while he does it.
And then he goes to bed. He claps and then passes out.
He's got a clapper light too, so when he does the clap, it turns his light off too, so he doesn't have to get up and he can just lay in his own spooge.
Ew.
Yeah, well, hey man, that's what Pharrell Williams wants to do. You heard it here first, folks.
And if you want to listen to us ramble more, then give us a like on this podcast.
Oh yeah, let me maybe subscribe if you want to see these ramblings and other gameplay and streams later in the future when they get uploaded to the channel, and then the other kind of videos we decide to make.
You don't forget to leave a comment. Which story about the documentary was your favorite of each and every documentary we listened to? Not listened to, but
Which terrible murder documentary is your favorite? There's a lot out there.
there's tons.
I want to find one about this one guy who was basically a town murdered. He was a giant asshole, and then basically the whole town was like, "Gotta do something about him." And then they figured out he was at a bar. The sheriff left, and they were like, "All right, we're gonna go fucking kill him." And they surrounded him in his truck, and they all fucking shot at him.
Hey, fuck it.
And then when they were all questioned, everyone was like, "Nope, I didn't see it, or I didn't know."
I didn't know.
Yep. And then everyone got off scot free. Then no one was really charged, and then the world went on.
Well, hey, one less asshole to deal with. I'm all right with it.
Yep. The inspiration for the antagonist of Roadhouse, apparently.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The more you know.
It's like the star, you know.
Oh yeah.
I really have to fart.